Ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are back. Monday mornings. We hope your Monday is going great. Doc, the god, the podcasting beast, usurper of Plus City, and a car-carrying member of the Alpha Academy.
Alpha.
How you doing today, Doc?
El Professor John A. Gotti, the king of RNG, the troll master, the data analyzing ninja, the conqueror of his own fate, the cleaner.
The best podcasting machine, El Tranquilo himself. We in there. But before we talk about the weekend games, we need to do a quick DAF PSA. Yes, that's a debate amongst friends, public service announcement. Over the weekend, there has been some words said towards a particular athlete going through trials for the Olympics. That's happening in Tokyo, Japan, actually, this year. So that's pretty sweet. But actually, next year. But so, Simone Biles, awesome athlete, beat people free, like insane. One of the commentators mentioned, she could be the GOAT in gymnastics. And of course, Twitter and social media, in their grand knowledge of everything that's everything, decided to take up in arms this comment by stating claims that she's not Tom Brady, she's not Wayne Gretzky, she's not LeBron James, she's not Michael Jordan. First of all, you need to get a life. I'm sorry. I have to say it. I was going to be PC, but Prof haven't really slept, and Helen is out sick today. But you need to get a life. Like, this isn't as serious as it needs to be. Your acute mindset doesn't impress your 25 Twitter followers.
So this is what I'll say. So when I heard the news that Simone Biles, of course, dominated in her event, the ESPN news reporter, I can't remember who it was, but she was saying Simone Biles was doing the Biles. And I was like, what the heck is the Biles? Obviously that's her signature. I believe it's a spin mid front flip that she does, and only apparently like that's her move. Like, that's my line. That's her move, right? The newscaster went on to say, I woke up in pain because I think I was doing that in my dreams and I was failing. Right? This is what she says on TV. She says, I was doing this in my dreams. So I know I must have carried the Biles over with me to bed. So I'll say this. Anytime someone dominates in something, and this is where I think we as people need to realize that just because one race or one ethnicity has dominated for a long time in a certain sport does not mean that they will dominate forever, especially when the playing field begins to get leveled.
Or begins to thin, because that was the complaint people had was, well, people aren't going to try as hard because Simone dominating. Well, here's the thing.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the bar.
That should make you want to be more hungrier.
Well, and this goes to what we were just talking about off the podcast. And I told you, now listen, you start seeing new sports every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not trying to disrespect or play anybody out because
He's
I
gonna
see people.
disrespect and play someone else.
Oh my God. I see people out there, they're playing these sports that kind of just popped up over the last couple of years.
Yep.
But when you think about it, a lot of these sports really, really weren't prominent when we were growing up. Like people didn't play frisbee, as a sport. We just kind of threw it back and forth, to pass time, right?
Yep.
Now there's a whole sport to it. There's a whole event almost. So it's interesting that, you ask somebody like, hey, would you be interested in, let's say, playing at least flag football? Oh, no, no, no. That's too much contact for me. And there's contact and non-contact flag. But even flag football was something that was not frowned upon, but not as big until recent years.
Yep.
So the major sports, right? I'm going to say major sports: soccer, baseball, basketball, football, tennis, right? Golf. Now we have gymnastics, we have wrestling. So it's like once you start getting out of those, you start getting into culture specific sports. You have your cricket, right? You have a lot of other sports that they're sports that we probably don't even know. But then you have people who may just not be coordinated enough to play these sports, so they have to play other sports, which is completely fine. Gymnastics takes a lot of coordination. But when you think about it, in the urban environments, a lot of times gymnastics not even offered. I don't even think gymnastics was offered in my high school.
No.
You know what I'm
Definitely
saying?
not.
That's what I'm saying. So if we're talking about the competition being thin, it's not thin on everybody else's side, it's thin on ours. So when two young black girls from Compton learned how to play tennis and actually was given the opportunity by their parents to learn how to play a game that's not pre- predominantly taught in that environment or culture, what do? They thrive, they shine because they're given an opportunity. So it's like, is she the GOAT? She is the best right now. If she dominates for the next 5 to 10 years, like every other GOAT conversation that we have, she'll be the GOAT of gymnastics. It has nothing to do with her being black. It has nothing to do with anything. It's just the fact that she's dominating. And if nobody wants to step up, like the people who beat Serena, right?
Yep.
They're not GOATs until they dominate for years. Heck, Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. That does not make him a GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like that just means he beat Mike Tyson. He got the punch. You know, Tom Brady is a great player. He's the best quarterback to play football, not because of the Super Bowl rings, but because of his preparation and his will to play, the way he plays, his competitive edge. That's what makes goats goats. Those out there looking to compete at a high level, and even when you think they're just about done, they change their game up and they take it to a next level. Doesn't
Exactly.
matter how tired they are, doesn't matter how injured they are, they elevate the game. Simone Biles is elevating the game. Naomi Osaka, we talked about her. We're going to talk about her. Elevate the game. That's the GOAT. Somebody that can take the game to the next level. It's not just because Tom Brady's in his 40s playing. It's because he's in his 40s still playing like he's in his 30s or 20s. That's the GOAT status. LeBron, he's been playing for 90 years. He's still dunking above the rim. He's still commanding respect where a lot of people have fallen off. That's the GOAT status. Michael Jordan takes time off from basketball to go play baseball, comes back, suits back up in the shoes, comes back to his, not immediately, but
Nope.
eventually gets back to his dominant stance. GOAT. Mike Tyson, youngest heavyweight, goes to prison for years, comes back, dominates. That's GOAT status. That's GOAT. Bah, bah. Freaking GOAT. So we really had to talk about that. I mean, I don't understand. It's not about competition, because if somebody else came out and did what Simone Biles did, you want to know what Simone Biles would do? She would change the game. She would do something completely different.
Yep.
And that's the part that makes her the GOAT. If somebody else could do exactly what she does, they would change the game. And now I see a lot of people also hating on the fastest woman in the world, the young lady with the orange hair. I think it's Chikaria or something like that. I always messed up her name. Every time I see it, I just be like, I think it's Shikaria, if I'm not mistaken. But the girl's a beast. Like, her running stride is amazing, but people are so wrapped up in her. Yeah, Shikari Richardson.
Yep.
Shikari. It's because there's like a apostrophe in there, and once you throw those apostrophes in there, you just never know where to go with it. But it's Shikari Richardson. The girl is a great runner, and instead of people giving people their flowers, man, just give it to them. Let them have their moment. Not like, like, how we talk about WrestleMania moment, like, let them have their life moment. The girl just qualified for the Olympics. But here we are talking about the color of her hair. We're talking about how quote unquote masculine she looks. Like, she's a freaking runner. Like, she's a woman, a fit woman. Let the girl have her time. But people don't like that.
Nope, because we live
That's
in
what it is.
a toxic and canceled driven society now.
Yeah.
It's all about how can I use this great moment, this wholesome moment where someone is accomplishing something great that not only I would never be able to do, but even those close to wouldn't even fathom getting.
Nope.
To just get clout. Because all it takes is one negative comment. And it just blossoms from there.
Oh, it's over. It's over. And it's pretty sad too, because it shouldn't even have to be like that. It really should be, man, that person's great. I should strive to be like that person, or I should strive to, push my child, or I should strive to, I don't know, donate to my local school so that they can have the freaking program, so that maybe the next Simone Biles or, the next whoever can actually get a shot to play this. Introduce these sports in your schools. Become a coach, a mentor. Don't just go around hating. Use that.
What was the term that Kevin Hart said? Everyone wants to be famous, but no one wants to put in that work. Same thing goes by here.
Yeah, it's
Everyone
crazy.
wants a gold medal, but no one wants to put in that work. It's easy just to hate.
Yeah, I can tell you. I mean, a lot of people want to win a championship and hoist the banners, or get the gold belt or whatever it is. But you're right. The work is often overlooked.
Exactly.
And overshadowed.
People only want the result.
Because I can tell you right now, she didn't run that one race. Simone didn't do that one flip.
Yep.
Tom didn't throw one freaking pass. You know what I mean? And that's what separates people. So it's like, people just need to realize that there's a lot of work that goes into it. And that kind of takes us to, the Naomi Osaka situation, where here she is, a young girl, obviously a minority, with two different cultures, maybe even three. And you have a mental health issue, right? Because here she is, she's young, she's successful, and, people often think like, man, this person must be living on cloud nine, right? That she just beat Serena. Oh my God. Get her out of there. You know what I mean? But that
was
pressure.
like the genesis for her.
Right. Exactly. The pressure now to carry that on is probably what,
Well, I mean, that speaks to like how the media is, and like, how a lot of these corporations are leeches. Like, they just want to leech everything out of you. They want to plaster your face everywhere. Which, I mean, that still is something that I take, high reserve on, because my problem is you're only doing this now because I'm winning. Like,
right.
Where were you when I wasn't there?
Right, and we kind of had a similar conversation, not the exact one, with the hiring of Jason Kidd and Chauncy Billups. And I said, it's like, if they've done wrong in the past, right, and you weren't really that upset, right, you really weren't that upset with them getting a job as an assistant coach. Why, oh why, Boo Birds? Why would you care now? Like, it's just moving from assistant to head coach. I get the title, but it's like, why not hold that energy and push it so that they won't even get a job in the first place? Donald Sperling was out immediately, right?
Yep.
So it's like, if you had a major issue, and of course we always throw out that word because it's very true, alleged.
Well,
they were accused.
Chauncey was alleged.
Jason
was accused.
Yes. So was accused, or was he? I mean, was he found guilty?
He didn't serve any time. I believe they ended up settling, but the terms are fuzzy. But Chauncey was just allegedly.
So in that situation, it's like, if things go sour, right? If he doesn't bring them playoffs or championship, and things go sour, this is what the story is going to be. These fans are going to turn on him.
No one's talking about it in mainstream media, by the way. Oh, okay. No one's talking about that. I'm talking
Which is good.
This
is fans.
Yeah, it's the fans. Like, it's people who really watch the game. It's like, okay, like, I understand what this person did as,
a player
or what he did as an assistant, but like, this guy still has a shady history. Like, we still need to have a conversation about this.
Right.
Like,
so now it's like,
have people like Stephen A. Smith and people at ESPN, praising and being so happy about Mr. Big Shot getting the opportunity to finally become a head coach. But again, where people should be getting flowers,
yes,
a lot of people are defecating on those flowers.
Defecating on the flowers. Like I said, I'm happy for Chauncy. I mean, like I said, my feelings about Jason Kidd getting another job, but I'm happy about Chauncy. I feel like there does need to be a conversation had about it, but it's like, we should have had the conversation when he was hired as an assistant coach.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when we should have had the conversation, because there's a man named Mark Jackson.
He actually almost became a GM, by the way.
He did. I remember that. You think about it, Mark Jackson has been blackballed for whatever reason. It never really came out. Can we have the conversation about
Becky Hammond has still yet to be hired as a head coach, and that bothers me.
I can understand that. And she still has a shot. I mean, I know there's some teams that are still hiring. I know Penny Hardaway actually just interviewed for the Magic job, which, I mean, him living in Memphis would be pretty rough. But I understand why Orlando would do that. I think Orlando
and
right,
taking buying power too.
Yeah, I really feel like Orlando and a few other teams need that ticket selling ability. So I think somebody like Penny would be good, or like you're saying, that first female hire in Orlando could be really, really good. Or in New Orleans, where they need help. They need somebody with a strong mind to get Zion to the next level and to keep Zion around, period, apparently.
Bigger thing. Yep.
So they need to change their style. But this whole ordeal is really, really deafening. It's really rough, and I hope that we can overcome it as a people. Like, give the people the flowers while they're here, have the conversations that need to be had when they happen.
Well, and what is it that I said early last year?
Oh, you said a lot of things. I mean, you said early last year. That's a long time ago.
Because there was a big tragedy that happened early last year. And I said, well, why are people now giving him flowers after? When they should have wow.
You know how Beanie he was, though. You know how Beans was. He was
No.
another
I
goat.
wasn't saying it was him. I'm saying
No, I know what you're saying. Okay. I know.
Okay, so you get what I'm saying.
Talked about, people still brought up, rape allegations with him as well. So, which that was a weird situation. And I won't go into it because it was so long ago that I would have to really look up the details. But
I was just saying that because you literally
just
said, you need to give them their flowers while they're still here.
Yeah, and Kobe dominated on the floor, but I think Kobe's dominance on the floor led to people hating on him off the floor. Absolutely. And that's what people don't separate the player from the person. You know what I mean? Like, these are players, right? Players second. They're people first.
It's weird. And we can go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that rabbit hole.
It's really, really weird because for some people, they look at one side versus the other. Other cases, they do vice versa. And then for a few special cases, they combine the two to try to make an argument. And it's like, okay, that's really stupid.
Well, again, like I told you, and I'll break after this, but when I saw Mark Calloway in the airport, right, I didn't see Mark Calloway. I saw the freaking Undertaker. Okay. And listen, yeah, I am. And I'm not going up to the Undertaker. I don't care how old I am, how old he is. I still feel like it's the Undertaker. Yes. It's still real to me, damn it.
And on that note, folks, that was our public service announcement. I'll be right back with more debate amongst friends right after this.
And we are back. NBA action. Game 2 and 3 of this Milwaukee and Atlanta series.
Eastern Conference.
Well, let's see how I want to put this. That progressed quickly. I didn't expect it to happen this quickly. I expected Atlanta to come out with a little bit more energy on Friday. But
it was exactly how I expected game 2 to be. It's exactly how I said it was going to be.
That was really, really rough. I would say that it kind of just so happened, and I said this, on Friday when we got off, I said, listen, it's not about Trae Young.
Nope.
Like, people make it about Trae Young. It's not.
Well, I mean,
it's about,
because they want superstars to talk about.
Of course. It's about Clint Capella and John Collins. John Collins, 11 points, 8 rebounds. Clint Capella, 2 points, 8 rebounds. You shut those two guys down. Trae is good, but he's not. That's what doesn't make him a star just yet. This is why I didn't put him in the All-Star teams and all those NBA teams that we were talking about, because he's good. He's just not there just yet. And that's okay. He's young. It's only his second year, and I think people are really, really pushing him into this star light. And it's like, just give him a chance to get better first. He's great. He's a great player.
Because, and Doc like used this term, because the Hawks overachieved. No one expected them to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. You kidding me?
No one had them. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some better that had them going this far.
Well, I mean, better versus fan base is totally different.
There's going to be some guy.
If I could put $100 into the Hawks make to the Eastern Conference Finals,
right,
people will laugh at me. until I flipped that to like $6,000. So actually,
Exactly.
probably like
100,000 or something ridiculous. It'll probably if it's like the Eastern, it'll probably be something in the hundreds of thousands. It'll probably be ridiculous.
I mean, and if I was to win that much, I split it with Doc.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. But when you look at the Bucks,
he at least get $5.
Wow. But when you look at the Bucks and what they were able to do, obviously Giannis, 25 points, 9 rebounds. The talk of the town, and this is how you know that this series is really bad. The big talk about this series is Giannis at the free throw line. Is he taking too much time at the free throw line? Is the referee giving him the old countdown, which they usually don't enforce, right?
No,
but it's like, who cares? Like, let that man shoot his freaking free throw. If he takes 20 seconds to shoot it, he wants to give the guys a little break. Hey, let him take his time.
Here's the thing. If it was never enforced before, then I'm not worried about it. But if it is being enforced, then we have a conflict of interest.
I'm sure it's going to probably come up.
It's going to come up on the off season, but this right here, the fact that the fans are counting it down, like that's not a good look. With the fans counting it down, with people reiterating rules from the NBA rule book, and it's saying, hey, why is this 7-foot, 2-time MVP taking 20 seconds to shoot a free throw? That should be a violation. Why is he taking an extra 10 seconds to get himself set up to say said free throw? Why is it taking a minute? That's a problem.
So you also have, of course, the casual, gaming fan. So in 2K, right? There's no clock. I know there's always these quirky things, right? So in NBA 2K, there's no clock, of course, that that runs when you're at the free throw line. But what happens is after 10 seconds, the computer automatically makes you shoot and gives you a miss. It's really, really weird. It just like, you just shoot it. You just shoot it. So it's like those casual fans are probably like, hey, if this was 2K, I mean, he would have just.
I feel like you should never use 2K as a reference point.
I just feel like that's that's always been the casual fan. Like, oh my God, you can't even do, like, people say, oh, when you make a trade, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, you can't even do that in the game, right? That's the thing. Like, people do that with Madden, they do that with 2K. Like, that's just the casual fan. Like,
and just to add to that, folks, that also includes the ESPN trade machine.
Right. That trade machine is wild. And I think that was one of the things that I kind of wish wasn't invented, because, everybody in America thinking that they can be the next general manager of a team.
There's only one true next general manager. And I'm talking to him, folks. It's Doc freaking Mason. Stop it. Move on. Move on. Move on. Move on. Move on.
The opposite day.
Move on. Game 4 was a lot more competitive, but the Bucks managed to pull away late.
Oh, Game 3. That was Game 3.
Yeah, that's what I said the next game. Yeah, Game 3.
Yeah, Game 3. Yeah. And then you had Trae Young also going down with an injury, which I think getting an MRI today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's day today, but I'm pretty sure he's going to try to play.
Without question.
Yeah, it's the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, he's going to try to play.
Yeah.
Plus, he's still young, and they feel like they're invincible. So
true. But Game 3 was, like you said, a little more competitive. Milwaukee, again, if they're able to, I guess, play their really just got to find themselves an identity. Like, I saw Brook Lopez Game 2, shooting threes, and they were hitting, right?
But he was also getting involved on the defensive end, which was big.
Right. And he's a good center for them. Like, kind of similar to, how we talked about the Clippers and Zubac, like I feel like these are serviceable centers. Now, Brook Lopez was, an all-star back in the day. And that's kind of why I wish that I didn't have to watch DeAndre Jordan sit on the bottom of the Nets bench, because I feel like these guys can still play, even though they're a little older. But this particular Milwaukee game was really about Chris Middleton, who is I would say a serviceable star in his own right. And I don't think he gets a lot of credit for the work that he does. But again, if I'm building a team, I don't know if he would be the guy that can carry me to the next level.
I can understand that. I will say this, and I think I said this for every single round for the Bucks. Chris Middleton is the key. He plays good. You can't stop him defensively. Like he's gonna score on you. Like he has a great pull-up game from mid-range. He can literally get to the hole. He shoots for the free throw line way better than Giannis. I'm sorry, Giannis. And he can shoot the three better too.
So, although Giannis is considered a superstar at this point within his own right,
of course,
I feel like that star is starting to fade a little.
The media is not going to let that thing fade, and the casual fan's not going to let it fade either. I'm telling you this right now because this is exactly what I see happening.
He's a good player. Right.
He is a incredible player, a complete freak athlete, thus the freak. But some of the basic technicalities within his game still need a lot of work.
So it's like in the offseason, like all he should do is just shoot free throws.
So here's the thing. I mean, first of all, of course, everyone wants to get on Ben Simmons, blah, blah, blah. But I give Giannis credit for this. He worked on his jump shot.
He did.
I still believe that he should have went back to his original jump shot form, which is a lot more fluid, but that's here or there. I think, A, he does need to work on his free throws, but B, he needs to have better basketball IQ, like understanding the moment. Okay, this is a time where I really probably just need to get my teammates involved, and I need to become, the main source of attention to kick it out for better shot selections instead of just pulling up a three. For me, that's the only thing that I wish that he can work on over the summer. Whether they win the championship or not, I think that's something that I think he should get better with. Talking with some great point guards to understand how their mind works, which is why we originally thought that it would have been great for him to be coached by Jay Kidd.
Right.
But we knew how much of a train wreck that turned into.
Right. I feel like he might need to pay money, just like many other people, and just have a summer with the dream. Right. It would have been really good. Yeah.
I'm not playing basketball anymore. I'll pay money for that.
Yeah, just bringing the dream. I think working on the post game, hiring a shooting coach. If he hasn't already, he probably does. But I mean, at this point, it's just going to take more work, and he might just need to find his own niche. Like I know one player, I forget who it was, had to switch from their right hand to their left hand just to shoot free throws, which is possible. Yeah, which is possible because sometimes you're just trying not to put too much power on it, but it just has to be more natural.
No, it's because he broke his right hand. That's
why. That's why. But I would say that Giannis is a good player, but I mean, I think so. They should end this series. I mean,
they will end the series maybe in 6.
Yeah, because what I'm looking at on the other side, I really don't want to see the Clippers go forward. I mean, I would love for the Clippers to get their first, championship, I guess visit, right? And their first actual time being in the championship. But the way they play is just so, and we can just move on to them right now. And it's like,
yeah. So I'll prelude my discussion about this series with this. NBA media is trash. The people, the analysts are trash. The people who are trying to hype stuff are trash.
Well,
and NBA
it's
Twitter
hard,
is especially
though.
trash. Here's why I say that. Last year, everyone said Clippers were going to win the championship. I believe it too, because on paper, incredible roster.
Yes. Still to this day.
This year, not so much of that because LeBron James is back. They're back. Anthony Davis, they're back. They got bounced in the first round. In this series, everyone's trying to gas up the Clippers. Oh, but they never made it to the finals. Yeah, Los Angeles needs the Clippers to win the championship this year. Trash. This series,
I get it,
will be over in 5.
So that's what,
as I said at the start of the series, I said this should be over in 5.
So that's what Chris Paul is, I guess, trying to avoid his team hearing, because that was the news article today.
And he's right, because he had bad experience with it.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't want to talk about 3-1. Yep. And I feel him, and they had to realize that, the game before where Devin Booker is trying on this face mask for the first time. And I said this, you put that face mask on, it's going to take some getting used to. It's going to take a little adjustment, you know what I mean? Because your eyes are a little, there's that mask it's pretty rough. But you also had this emerging center that you drafted number 1 overall a few years ago in DeAndre Ayton, who said, you know what? I can play this game. And he did.
For some reason, people were trying to write off as a bust.
We talked about that.
People are real quick to pull that trigger, Doc.
And we talked about that last year, and it's like, not last year, freaking last. Well, yeah, we did talk about it last year, but
yeah, we talked about last year too. But we talked about last week.
Last week, and I said that it's like they had to go through their growing pains, and it's kind of perfect because their nucleus is really strong. Now, when you look at this team on paper, they just look like a scrappy team. Obviously, you bring in Jay Crowder, who's the scrappiest of them all, and then a savvy veteran in Chris Paul. But in reality, when I look at this team, on paper, I don't see a team that screams out championship. But they said, you know what, we're going to work. Right?
Yep.
But when you look at this Clippers team, you got Paul George, Marcus Morris, Zubac, again, who's very underrated. I like Zubac. I liked him when he was in LA with the Lakers. Him coming over to the Clippers, I was like, I like him. They didn't play him immediately, and I kind of wasn't feeling that. I think Zubac is a really, really good center, somebody that is really good. You bring in Reggie Jackson, right? You still have Patrick Beverley. I thought they were getting Nicholas Batum of the old.
No.
But this is Nicholas Batum, who had been sitting on the bench in his previous team for years. Exactly. And it shows. Luke Kennard, they pay the big money for Luke Kennard and then put him on the bench. Right?
It only played him like 10 minutes per game.
Yeah. Even having Yogi Ferrell and Rondo on the bench. Yogi Ferrell was so good in Dallas. He had some really amazing games.
Yep.
But here's a guy that's on the bench. So on paper, yes, it looks like the Clippers should dominate. Even without Kawhi, they should be dominating, but they're just not putting together. Marcus Morris, again, 4 points, 2 assists. Patrick Beverley, 2 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. We know Patrick Beverley's a defensive player, but come on.
I will say this. So game 4 was the worst officiated game throughout the whole series. You can agree with that, right?
Of course.
The one slight positive I can give that officiating crew is the fact that they started calling fouls on Patrick Beverley when they should have been versus what happened in game 3. Because as Doc like to say, he's out there killing people.
So Patrick Beverley, he was a rocket. I rode with him, I know he played, what we used to call, lockdown NWO defense, where you're trying a new world order of defense, right? You're sitting there, you're trying to lock up the other player, right?
Yep.
But in this situation, it's like you're playing against a savvy veteran and Chris Paul. You're playing against Devin Booker. You know, even some of the guys on the bench are really, really good at drawing fouls. I know Cameron Johnson is because I saw him when he was at North
Cameron
Carolina.
Payne as well too.
Cameron Payne as well. So it's like we know he plays aggressive, but so does Crowder. That's what I'm saying. So it's like Patrick Beverley would actually fit really, really good in Phoenix. He would be really good in Phoenix, but that's
but he'll
neither
be
here
third
nor
string
there.
though.
I think he would run with Cameron Payne. I think they would run it together, but that's a whole nother story. But in this situation, I just feel like the Clippers and Ty Lue haven't figured out that trying to go jump shot for jump shot with the Suns, that's not going to do it.
That
Get in
was my
there.
mind.
Yeah, get in that paint. Get Ayton out of the game. Make them bring out Saric, who, nothing against Saric, but he's not the player that Philly thought he was. He's not the player that
I still think
came.
that Philly should have kept him, honestly. He
Of
was
course.
the perfect fit for them.
Of course. And we still think, and this is without them playing Frank the Tank. So, let them bring Saric out, let them bring the other guys out and you work that paint, but the playoff anomaly, as you've coined this phrase, and I'm not going to sit here and not say that Paul George isn't playing okay. 16 rebounds, right? 23 points. Obviously, he fouled out in the game eventually because, you have to do what you have to do at the end of the game. 6 assists. It's not that he's not playing. Paul George just isn't the guy he once was before the injury, where he was trending into being a superstar in Indiana, where it all started. He probably should have stayed in Indiana a little longer and not gone to OKC, where at that moment he went from number one guy. I think it was because he wanted out, though. I don't think they wanted to get rid of him. At that point, that's when all the GMs and the managers, they didn't want to lose people for nothing. That's when we started getting that whole thing. People didn't want to lose people for nothing. So it was like, let's move him, right?
Yeah, because he was part of the Oladipo trade.
Exactly, because
Oladipo got Domantas Sabonis.
Exactly. So, that's what I'm saying. Think about it. If everybody stays pat, right? Freaking Westbrook plays with Sabonis, right? You're good here.
I have to walk away from that. I'm like, that's just so dumb.
But no, they trade Paul George. And like I said, so Paul George, I'm going to give him his credit. It really is the supporting cast. And that's why Kawhi is so important. But I know Kawhi is hurting him to be out.
Kawhi is a supporting cast on this team?
No. I said I know that's why Kawhi is so important. I said it's supporting. It's not just Paul George. It's the supporting cast. And then I said I know. I was about to say I know it's killing Kawhi not to play.
That's okay. Context.
Yeah. Well, you cut me off right there. You cut me off. You was like, I'm cutting you off right now.
I'm cutting you off.
Yeah. But yeah, Kawhi, I know it's killing him not to play, but health is important, man. And
it is.
At this point, it's like you're gonna sacrifice the rest of your career for a series that right now looks like it's over.
It's over.
And I'm not gonna say it's over until I see that.
This is what I'm saying. If the Sun doesn't win tonight, they're gonna lose the series.
I can understand that. Because they would have to go back to LA and then, win in a tough crowd there. I think Chris Paul is going to come out and play like he did to close out the Nuggets.
They're gonna come out here and be like forget about the crowd, forget about the media. Let's end this tonight.
Let's end this.
And Isn't make the Clippers remember forever the night that they played the Suns.
No, I agree. Like I said, I think it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it.
Because if you think the media attention towards this series was bad now, if they lose Game 5 tonight, it's going to get worse.
Right.
And
so that's tonight.
It's going to be even harder for them to block that stuff out. You kidding me?
No, I agree. So that's tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN in Phoenix. Let's see what happens. But we know you heard this podcast on your favorite podcast platform. But if you didn't, you can always go to our website at www.debateamongstfriends.com to hear this episode as well as all of the previous episodes. We are here Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will be back tomorrow. No Dark Side of the Ring, but we will cover some wrestling tomorrow. We had a Mick Foley Broken Skull session that was very, very good and entertaining. So we'll try and get on that or some other type of wrestling bio. But be sure to tune in tomorrow, 4 p.m. for more news, more analysis, and the read.